Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Friday to you and your family. Thank you again so much for joining me here. Been getting a lot of awesome feedback from our Pepe supporters and just greatly appreciate that. Thank you again. If you want to help, of course, like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards here on YouTube, and also help us grow our Twitter community. A lot of you are coming on over and we're sending out some really awesome updates here. Thanks again to our Algorand community too for retweeting a ton of those posts that we have here recently. So thanks again so much for joining me. We'll take a look here at some things. So first of all, with Pepe, what we want to look at is, first of all, the Fibonacci retracement levels. Okay, so Fibonacci retracement levels, that's pretty much what you can rely on parabolic type of movements like this. And I get the question a lot, like, hey, where do I set them? How do I start them over? We'll just go ahead and start over here, essentially, and show you what that looks like. Okay, and what it basically is you're going to take the most recent low to the most recent high. Now today, the price keeps increasing, so sometimes with the Fibonacci retracement levels, it can be difficult to keep a grip on them, right? Because yesterday, if you saw during the video, we were making all-time highs during the recording. So that being said, right now, what we're going to do is take it to from the most recent low to the most recent high. Pretty simple, and as the day progresses, we just continue to adjust it upwards. But once again, you want to go with a daily closure if possible, just based on the simple fact that it's a larger amount of data in a full 24-hour period gives you better Fibonacci retracement levels. Okay, so we're just going to click on this guy here, bring it on up here, and then what we're going to do as well to anticipate the future reference of where the heck this could go, we're basically just going to reverse the Fibonacci retracement levels to anticipate the higher price points. Okay, so this will give us perspective here that, you know, if all goes well, things continue to go parabolic, if you will, we'll have a pretty strong resistance there. It's at the 2.618 level, which is 933,000, which is almost double, 2x essentially where we're at right now, or 2.5, whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is that's kind of how you do it. Okay, so just keep in mind there's that. I also have Fibonacci retracement videos to help describe this to you in both my private trading academy and also my public videos, so check that out, of course. But that's kind of how we do that. All right, so as I mentioned before, we don't have enough data really here for any type of daily analysis, right? Because most of them are based on 14-day lag. So we can see the RSI is overextended. Big surprise, right? What we also want to look at here, and just to quickly note, this was kind of the price prediction from yesterday. I send out these charts every day on our Twitter, of course, as potential playout charts. And what it did exactly what we were hoping for, at least one of two things, right? Because again, keep in mind the Fibonacci retracement levels were a little bit different at the time, but it did tell us that it wanted to come down and bounce, okay? And it came down to bounce off this previous resistance level. So just to quickly note, you can see how the price action had trouble passing this level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the sixth price, or the sixth push broke through that level, creating a short squeeze, and the price took off from there, right? That level there became a support now. Okay, so the price effectively bounced off that range. It wasn't the exact number, but congratulations to some of my community members. They were able to kind of get in at 185,000 and effectively 2x their investment. So really cool stuff there in that regard. Just want to touch on how that works, because generally speaking, it'll bounce within Fibonacci retracement levels often, and then it'll retrace to the next key level resistance, or previous resistance rather, turn new support. Okay, so that's kind of a standard thing with trading. All right, taking a look, of course, at the 4-hour. The last thing we kind of want to recognize here is the overextension also, but we did get a bounce off of 70 in the RSI once more. Now, I mentioned this yesterday because we were actually kind of at this point yesterday, right, where the price was kind of bouncing off 70 for the first time. And I mentioned that you never want to try to sell your position or close your position until the RSI comes soundly down below the 70 on the RSI on the 4-hour chart. Sorry, talking is hard today. So what I'm getting at here is that we bounced, and that's a case in point where you leave your position open until the price soundly closes below. Now, it kind of wicked down below, but came right back up above. So generally speaking, we got that sweet bounce off of 70 on the RSI. Most bullish trends do that. I was also mentioning too that you don't want to sell when stochastic RSI just diverges for the first time. You want to look at it potentially the second time. So we are kind of on the horizon right now of a potential selling point. Okay, so I would recommend considering taking some profits if you can, but again, long-term investment, different story altogether. Generally speaking, we have some support ranges down here at the 143 to 170 range. If we ever come back down there, that's what we'll see as a support, because those are previous resistance levels, right? So the cool and crazy thing about this being kind of parabolic in the way that it is, we can tell that if it continues to run, there's going to be some interesting stuff that's going to happen. And let me talk about that here. So first of all, the simple moving average 20, SMA 20, we're well above that, obviously. But that's going to be the trend setter here. It's going to come up and continue until the price action intersects with it inevitably. It is an inevitability, trust me, this cannot go up forever. That being said, that's going to be a first case in point where we want to pay attention to see, hey, the price breaks below that, it might be a good time to consider trimming your position. Now, there's a good chance the price could drop, to any of these Fibonacci retracement levels between here. Okay, keep in mind there are standard and common characteristics within retracement. That being said, when the price comes down to 0.618, 0.5, or 0.382, that's a case in point where you're typically going to see a bounce. In other words, if we see these levels here, I'm going to just mark them for you. 0.618 is roughly 28,500. We've got 246,000, 285,000, and 207,000. Okay, so sorry, again, speaking is hard today. I hope you can keep up. I apologize. The bottom line here is those are the levels that we're going to see the price pull back if it were to. Okay, again, emphasis on if it were to. I think there's a better chance that we will see that just based on the fact that we are in overtime here. We've got, what we're 13 or going on 13 4-hour candlesticks to the upside. That's a firm indication the price is going to probably continue to retrace in the relative near future. Okay, just keep in mind you can only shoot so far in one direction until the price corrects itself. Somebody somewhere is going to have a massive bag and they're going to want to sell and they're going to definitely take some profit, and that's where the price is going to pull back. In fact, a lot of profit taking is happening right now, likely at the current price point. Okay, so just keep in mind that's kind of what's going on there on the 4-hour. Everything else is, overextended and bullish, but generally speaking, we do have that overextension we want to worry about and concern ourselves with. Here's the positive though. Take a look at this guy. If we look at the 1 hour, we can see we're 5 hours into this continuation. So literally we have potential of 4 more hours of continuation to the upside before it decides it wants to pull back. Now again, should it do that? Probably not, because it's extremely overextended right now. But on the same accord, we got a nice period of consolidation. And I was telling you this before yesterday's video, how healthy these continuations are. And let's take a look at that here. Look at how healthy this is. And when I say healthy, it really just implies that when you have an up over kind of like a staircase pattern, that's ultimately what you want to look for in a trading. Because again, it's continuing. It's not sporadically jumping up and down like Bitcoin does right now. It's doing very well. It's very static, if you will. Okay, consistent. And that's really awesome. We like to see that. That being said, that's going to last for only so long if and when you go super high, super fast. Okay, so again, we got a nice period of consolidation, all well and good. The price shot up and did probably likely a nice hard short squeeze there, and of course the price isn't looking back. Okay, so again, just something to get to recognize. We are overextended, but technically still have a few hours left of this continuation. And then if we take a look at the Ichimoku cloud, there's literally no sign here that you want to close your position. It's all green lights. So let's just go ahead and summarize here. We're mostly bullish on every single time frame. We're overextended on the 4-hour and potentially on the 1 hour here in the next 5 hours roughly. Okay, so I would say by today's trading day close, traditional trading day close, right? I'm talking, in the U.S. essentially. That's a good case in point where you might want to consider taking some profits because the price will likely pull back at that time. It's a very common time for the price to pull back for Bitcoin and other coins as well. While this isn't moving along with Bitcoin, it's not currently aligned with Bitcoin, there is an inevitability of that in the future. You got to recognize that happens to all coins, one point or another. That being said, a lot of times coins like this will be very volatile during traditional market hours where pre-market and post-market hours are occurring. Okay, so just some heads up, friendly advice there. All right, that being said, to summarize here, very lastly, I want to kind of touch on the potential here for this coin. As we can see, it shot up, in one day we've seen over 120%. And that's worth it already being overextended leading into it, right? If it were to increase again, just say that roughly that same percentage, we could see the price action go all the way up roughly as far as the 0.618 level of about 608,000. So 608, I would say round number 600. So if you're going to have a good sell target, 600 would be appropriate. Again, is that going to happen? The likelihood is low, but it's also extremely high considering what we have going on, right? See, traditionally in a regular standard coins, you're not going to find the price goes parabolic like this. But when parabolic runs occur, you need to pay attention to those Fibonacci retracement levels, specifically 1.618. That is an absolutely strong resistance level that I feel like we might actually see here in the near future. All right, so I would say my price prediction here would be 600,000 as a potential best case. If it were to continue further than that, the 2.618, that puts us at 933,000, and ultimately that is a conversation for another day. very well could be a conversation for a couple of days from now. That's the crazy cool thing about this. So again, fun stuff, interesting things. I hope that this made sense for you, and I appreciate you watching. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on this. In fact, I'll probably end up covering this later today. I get a lot of requests for this, so I figure we'll keep you guys abreast on everything. Once more, thank you so much for joining me here. If you could help us grow our Twitter, greatly appreciate that. We love to be able to interact with our community members and everyone else. It's just a fun, fantastic experience. Be sure to check that out. And obviously, if you haven't already, cryptocash.tech as well if you want to become a better trader. We just hit a nice Solana long target of about 22%. Really awesome stuff. Be sure to check that out. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.